Hey everyone, this is Mike. Today we are back at Closers talking about some of the new content that is available in the game. Now really quickly before we get into the video, I do want to mention that I have weekly giveaways going on my Discord channel for Noping, which is a tunneling server that can kind of act as a VPN in certain cases as well. So if you're interested in getting your hands on 7-day access keys for that, head over to my Discord channel in the description and you can find all the information you need there. Now, back to Closers. There's two things that I really wanted to talk about, which first of all, the last Task Force team, Queen of Hearts, is finally arriving. We had Sylvie come out 2 weeks ago, this week we have Seth, and then in 2 weeks time we'll have Harpy, and then all of the characters that are currently in the game will finally have had their Task Force promotion. If you don't know what Task Force is, it's basically the last promotion that is currently available, mainly focusing on a teamwork skill, which is kind of like an FM that does a lot of damage, but has a very long cooldown, so you can only use it like once or twice in a fight, usually twice if you do something like a raid like Beelzebub or Overflow, something like that, when it comes to Purification Hell. And then of course you get a bunch of new passives that will boost your power level quite a bit. You might have to decrease some skill points from your normal skills, but you'll definitely want to put them in those passives because they are pretty strong. So that's the first point. Set Task Force is here now. Sylvie had it 2 weeks ago, and then of course Harpy will have it very soon. Now, the actual piece of content that is new is the Team Challenge. This is a dungeon that you can do 3 times a day, technically 9 times depending on how you want to look at it. But it depends on what team you're playing and also the characters that you have is how you're going to be experiencing this dungeon differently. So the way it works is you have 3 different dungeons for each of the 3 themes. We have the Black Lambs, the Wolf Dogs, and then the Wild Hunters. We don't have Team Rattus yet, so hopefully when that gets implemented this will get updated as well. But for now we have those 3 teams, and then each team has access to a specific dungeon system, we'll just call it. We have 4 different dungeons that you can do for each team, and they all get more difficult as you progress through the dungeons. You do have to do all of them in order so that you can unlock the next difficulty. Of course, each character will also get some bonuses depending on how many level 85 characters you have from said specific team. So the more characters you have leveled, the stronger of the buffs that you are going to be getting when your character does do that dungeon. Also very important, if you are, for example, playing Levia from the Wolf Dogs and you want to use her to do a Wild Hunter dungeon, you are going to be hit with a penalty, so you're going to get a debuff instead of a buff. So when you're looking at the different dungeons, you do want to use a character that is on that team to do that team specific dungeon as well. Now, not only that, but there are 4 different dungeons and there are 5 characters in a team. Now, the final dungeon does want you to have 99 million total combat power, which nobody has, of course. So I'm not quite sure if that's even feasible to do. Of course, you only have 3 entries a day for these dungeons, so I didn't get to try out the 4th one yet, which I probably won't do, to be honest. But the way it works is very simple. So when you use a character, you put them into that specific team and you also assign them to a dungeon. So for example, I used my Luna to clear the dungeons today, and that means that she is now assigned to Team Wild Hunter because I used her on the Wild Hunter dungeon, meaning I can't use her to do the other 2 teams' dungeons. I just physically can't use her to do that. Now, on the other hand, I also used Luna to clear for, like, the first 2 dungeons for the Wild Hunters, meaning, for example, I have Bai leveled up and geared as well. I can't use Bai to now do the first dungeon either. I can only use her to do the 3rd one because I hadn't finished that one yet on Luna. So once you clear a dungeon, that one gets locked for that specific character, and then you can only use that character for that dungeon. Now, once you clear a dungeon on a character as well, they lose their bonuses. So they want to kind of make you play multiple characters for this, because then each time if you take a character for a different dungeon, they are still going to have that teamwork bonus applied to them that you get from having those level 85s. But if you, for example, only have one character that's really geared, then you can still use them for all 3 of the different dungeons, but you're only going to get your bonuses applied for the first dungeon you do. The other 2 you will not have those bonus stats applied to you. So that's kind of how that works. Of course, the reason why you want to do this is because of rewards. Rewards are pretty decent. If you're able to get a lot of points on these things, then you'll also have access to some washing machines and such, which could be pretty interesting for some people. Personally, I probably won't be grinding it too hard. There's also a weekly reward for it, but knowing the people in this game, if you're not going to be grinding it super hard, you're not going to get those weekly rewards anyways. Of course, on the other hand, you only have 9 entries a day, so if you do have one really geared character for all 3 of the teams, then you could technically do all 9 runs every single day to then see if you can get a high placement on the weekly scores to get some extra rewards as well. But that's pretty much how the team works, like the team challenge works. You have 3 different team dungeons. You want to use the team specific character for their own team dungeon, meaning you want to use Black Lamb's characters for the Black Lamb's challenge, Wolf Dogs for the Wolf Dogs challenge, and then Wild Hunters for their dungeons as well. And then you have those different dungeons. Once you assign a character to a dungeon, meaning you clear the dungeon with that character, they get assigned to it, and then you can't clear that dungeon again with a different character. And then also, once you clear a dungeon with a character, they will also lose their bonuses for the next one, meaning that you want to actually play with multiple characters. If you can't, then of course you just need to take the penalty and just play as without the bonuses basically. So that's pretty much that. That's the new stuff in Closers. If you want to hop into it, of course you do need to have access to the Beelzebub raid area as well, which you can unlock after you unlock the trigger gear. So once you've done that quest, you can go into the BB raid area, and that is where you can find this dungeon entrance. So that's pretty much gonna be it for me. That's the new content that is in Closers, and that will come in the 2 weeks coming as well, with Harpy coming out with her task force. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.